In this video, I'm going to go through how to solve uh, Chapter 7, Problem 2. This is the one where you're removing the vowel from a string, okay? So if you're still working on this, it's okay. You can watch this video. You can kind of copy along, whatever you need to do. That's going to be fine. Um, hopefully, or I guess I want you to understand it if you turn it in, just even if you see me do it, okay? So this problem basically says that you allow the user to input a string. You then remove all of the vowels in that string and then send the string back to the user. Okay. So there's a further constraint on this one, and this is from the textbook for whatever reason, that we have to use the substring function. Okay. So what I've got on the screen here is me trying to work out an example. So this code is going to start a couple of things. The first thing I did was to create, and I'll show you the code in a minute. I created an isVowel function that takes a char and then determines if it's a vowel or not, and then sends back a true or false. So it's a Boolean function. Okay. So I'm going to use that so I'll determine whether or not I need to do anything with the letter. Okay. So I then I created this remove vowel function also that's going to go through character by character. So if you do a for loop through a string, then it's going to um, take it character by character, okay, with some index. Okay. So for example, here I've got if I had hello as the string that they entered, okay, that's at str sub 0, str sub 1, and so forth. That's the characters that make up. So the string length is 5. The highest index is 4. Okay. So when I is equal to 0, the letter's an H. So str square bracket I or square bracket 0 is equal to H. H is not a vowel, so don't have to worry about it. Okay. When we get to 1, now the str bracket 1 is an E. E is a vowel. Okay. So we have to use the substring function, which takes two parameters. The first is the character to start with. The second is how many characters to include. Okay. So in this case, we basically want to get the H in the first substring. We want to get the LLO in the second substring. Okay. And I is equal to 1. So in the first substring, I want to start at 0. The 0th position is where H is at. Okay. And I want to include one character, just the H. So that's the I. Okay. So if I do a substring 0I, that gives me the H. Plus, on the second one, I'm going to end up doing a substring. I want to start at 2. Okay. So that's I plus 1. Okay. And I want the length of this to be 3. Okay. So the length is going to be the string length, which is 5, minus I, which is 1, which gives us a 4, minus 1 more. And that minus 1 more is a problem with my first code that we'll fix in a minute. But that's going to give us 2, 3, which is this. Okay. The string length is now 4, and we're going to go on from there. Okay. So if we look at coding this so far, again, this is not going to be 100% correct. It worked for a whole lot of cases. Actually, Envy sent me a message, and I was like, "Oh, my code may not always work," and it turns out it didn't always work. So I think I've now fixed it. We'll see. And there are certainly different ways to do this. Okay, so here's my code that I have so far. So again, I've got my isVowel function, which takes a char, ch, returns a bool. I've got my remove vowel function, and there are options here. You could either have this be a string function, and then you send in the string and return the string. That's fine. Or I just went ahead and sent it as a parameter or as a pass by reference, the parameter. Okay. Which means that the changes I make to string are really going to have effects back in the main. Okay. Then I'm just inputting a string, simple enough. I chose to use the get line, which takes the cn and then what you want to return it as to enter the string to allow spaces, but you don't have to do that. Okay. The program didn't really say. You can just do a string, that would be fine. I'm then calling remove vowels on input string. If you would have instead, if this would have been a value returning function, if I would have returned a string, I would have to say str or input string is equal to remove vowels input string. But since I'm returning it by reference, I don't have to do that. And then I'm just printing out the string without vowels. Simple enough. Okay. The is vowels, relatively straightforward. The character, the char comes in, and I'm changing it to uppercase. You could also change it to lowercase, doesn't matter. And then I'm just going to return this Boolean condition. Okay. If the CH is equal to A, I just need the capital because I've uppercased it, or E, or I, or O, or U. If it's any of those, that's going to return true. If it's none of those, it returns false. Okay. Pretty basic. Again, other ways to do that. That's how I chose to do it. Okay. So now inside of here, let's just see what this is going to do for us. Just to see, I'm going to see out str bracket I. In fact, I'm going to stri and then a tab and then the string at that position. Okay. Just so we can see what's happening as we go through here. Oh, that's a hint of things to come. We had to change that and I forgot to change it back. Okay. So we're starting with 0 in this case. C has no value. Okay. So let's see what we get here. Hello. Okay. And you see that we start with I being 0 with an H, a 1 down to 4. There we go. Okay. Um, Pretty basic. Then we've got the string length we can use as well. That's going to go through and get everything. Okay. But we don't really want that. Okay. So the next thing we have to do inside of here, we have to say if our str, sorry, we're going to is vowel, we're going to send str sub I. Okay. And if that's true, we're going to see out, again, we're just testing here. We're going to see out that position I contains a vowel. That's got to be in strings. And I always want to put 2 L's in vowel. I don't know why. No, that's not where the space goes. Contains the vowel, we'll say here. And then I'll put str sub I, then inline. Okay, then close my if. Else, don't do anything. Okay, so let's do this. So when I run this, got some issue there. I don't know what my issue is. It's on page or on line 36. Take a look. That's my 4. If, oh, I need one more. Parentheses. Okay, I've got that. Gonna run it. Hello. Okay. Position 1 contains the vowel E, and position 4 contains the vowel O. And we haven't removed anything. Okay. So again, looking at what I'd done before to try to figure out how to do the substring. Okay, we can take that little bit of coding into account, even though, as I've said, it's going to turn out not to be correct. Okay, so let me go down to here. It does get us started, and it works a lot of the time. Okay, so instead of this, I'm instead going to say that my string str is equal to str dot substring 0 I. That's the H part for the first time. I'm going to concatenate it with str dot sub str. Okay, and this time I'm going to start at I plus 1. Okay, so I plus 1 is where I'm going to start. Okay, but I need 2. No, that's okay. I plus 1 should be okay. And the other thing I want to do is going to be the string dot length minus I minus 1, because we now have one less than we did before. Okay. So if all of that is syntactically correct, which would be a miracle if it is, apparently it is. Okay, now if I do hello, it worked, right? We're done. Good. Okay. What if it's at the beginning? Let's see. Able. Yeah, it's good. That's also at the end. Life's good. Okay. No issues. Okay. Until I was thinking about how it was working and it bothered me. So my programmer spidey senses here were bothered by that -1 in the string length minus I minus 1. That minus 1 shouldn't be there. Okay. It didn't feel right to me. It seemed like what we call a kludge or a kludge, where we're forcing it to work. Okay. And it turns out the problem is that when we rewrite the string in the middle of iterating through it, we have changed our index position and we've skipped a letter. Okay. Where, so when we got rid of the I or got rid of the E, okay, I was at 1. Okay. So we go around, I is now at 2. Okay. We've skipped where I should be starting. Okay. So, well, that brings up a thought. There may be another way to fix this. The way I fixed it was fairly complicated. Okay. So let's just say to deal with that. Okay. So if we're here, okay, and I was at whatever I is, okay, we go around again, we're going to add 1 to I is going to be messed up. I don't know if I can even do this right. What if I say I is equal to I minus 1? That may fix it. Okay. And what we're ignoring is basically the letter after the vowel. It can be a vowel and we're not going to catch it. Then our number is going to be off. This is probably crazy and not going to work, but let's see. Well, it didn't give me an error at least. Okay, if I do hello, that's okay. The word that got me, which is not a word, was that. Hey, that seemed to work. That may have fixed it. If so, that's a much simpler solution. So I was talking to Lauren on Zoom just now, and I gave her a much more complicated answer. That may be okay. Huh. Trying to think of, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Before I was having trouble, AAA would return A. So let's see. Okay. I think we're good. It's very interesting. So hopefully this makes sense. And it's quite shocking to me that, oh, but we didn't fix that. I still think do we need to fix this? Is that still need to be here? It will bother me if this still needs to be here, but if it works, I'm not going to complain too much. See, I like to really understand my code, and I'm not sure that I do anymore. Still's okay. Oh, it is going to be okay. Yeah, it is okay. The reason it's okay is that if this is 1 too many, we had the extra -1 there, it didn't matter because it's putting a blank space. So this should be fine. Okay. So yeah, I think this works. This is much simpler than what I'd done before, but this should account for that. Okay. So again, if you're wondering what I'm babbling about on what happens with these numbers, okay, let's go back over to the spreadsheet here. Okay. It's at this point in our numbering that we have a problem. Okay. Where we have I being 2. or I mean, 1 points to E. Okay. Once we've done that, we now go to 2. Okay. But 2, so I is 2 here, and it points to this letter. And we skip this letter entirely. Okay. But by setting I equal I minus 1, it's back to 1, and we're back to here, which is the letter we should be working for. Okay. So hopefully I haven't confused you to death, but I will be lenient on grading this one. So I do want to see this. It's Thursday. I want to see it certainly by Monday. Okay. I'll give you till then. It's a short enough program. If you don't have this line here, but you have everything else, your code is going to work most of the time, and I'm not going to take off. Okay. If you've already done it, I wouldn't go back. But if not, I would go ahead and fix this one line. Okay. So if you have further questions about this, make sure you let me know. So again, let's run through the whole thing again. Now that we know what we're doing. Okay. So I've got my input string. So I've got my function prototypes up here. Okay. And I should put a comment in here. I was doing this quick. Prototypes up here. My isVal function. It's a Boolean function, takes a char. My remove vowels function, which is a void that takes a string as a reference variable. Okay. And then I'm going to have my input string. I've chosen to do a get line so I can have blank spaces, but you didn't have to do that. Okay. I'm then calling the function that removes the vowels, and then I'm printing that out. That's all I'm doing. Okay. Isval is pretty simple. I'm just converting it to upper. You could convert to lower or do neither and check for more cases. And then I'm just returning whether the character is A, E, I, O, or U. Okay, that's all we're doing there. And then my remove vowels function, again, I'm using a pass by reference. I'm going to go through. This for loop just goes through character by character in our string. Okay. And every time I'm going to check to see if the current character is a vowel. If so, I'm going to use a substring to print the characters before, or the string before the vowel, and then the string after the vowel. Okay, that's what this is doing. And because this makes the string 1 less, my I is now off by 1. I have to subtract 1 from I. Okay, and that should keep us back in line. Okay, that's it. It's pretty simple program. Not simple. It's complicated. It's a 45 line program, so it's not very long, but there's a lot going on in this. Okay. So if you have questions, make sure you let me know. I'll be around, even on the weekend sometimes to be able to Zoom. So certainly to text. So text if you need to, and we'll work through whatever problems you're having. There are more ways to do this for sure. Okay.